White Knight manipulation techniques refer to a psychological strategy where an individual, the White Knight, uses behaviors and tactics that appear benevolent and altruistic to manipulate others. The term White Knight originates from the archetypal figure who rescues or aids others, often with an underlying self-serving motive. 1. Understanding the White Knight persona. A White Knight typically presents themselves as kind, supportive, and morally superior. They seek to build an image of a savior or protector, often targeting those perceived as vulnerable or in need of help. The ultimate goal is to gain control, admiration, or some form of psychological reward. 2. Techniques and tactics. A. Overt helpfulness and generosity. The White Knight offers excessive help, support, or gifts. This overt generosity can create a sense of indebtedness in the recipient, making them feel obligated to reciprocate, even if subtly. Example, constantly offering unsolicited advice or assistance, making the recipient feel they cannot manage without the White Knight's support. B. Creating dependency. By positioning themselves as indispensable, the White Knight fosters a dependency. The recipient may come to rely on them for emotional, financial, or practical support, weakening their own autonomy. Example, insisting on handling personal matters for someone, gradually eroding the person's confidence in their own abilities. C. Emotional manipulation. White Knights may use guilt or sympathy to manipulate. They often emphasize their sacrifices and efforts, making the recipient feel guilty for not appreciating or reciprocating adequately. Example, reminding the recipient of past favors or sacrifices to elicit a sense of obligation. D. Moral superiority and judgment. They often portray themselves as morally superior, subtly judging or criticizing others who don't meet their standards. This can lead the recipient to conform to the White Knight's expectations to avoid disapproval. Example, criticizing the recipient's friends or choices while positioning their own values as superior and the only right way. E. Undermining independence. While appearing supportive, the White Knight may undermine the recipient's independence by discouraging their self-reliance or by subtly sabotaging their efforts to solve problems on their own. Example, offering unsolicited solutions to problems, thereby diminishing the recipient's sense of accomplishment when they overcome challenges independently. Number 3, psychological mechanisms. A. Guilt and obligation. The recipient feels guilty for not reciprocating the White Knight's help, which can lead to compliance with the White Knight's desires or demands. B. Gratitude and debt. The sense of gratitude and perceived debt can compel the recipient to go along with the White Knight's wishes, fearing the loss of their support. C. Fear of abandonment. The recipient might fear losing the White Knight's support and approval, leading to a dependency and reluctance to assert their own needs or desires. D. Low self-esteem reinforcement. By constantly being in a position of needing rescue, the recipient's self-esteem may be eroded, reinforcing the power imbalance and making the White Knight seem indispensable. 4. Signs and consequences. A. Red flags. Excessive involvement in personal matters, unsolicited advice, a pattern of reminding others of their sacrifices, and subtle judgment of others' choices are common red flags. B. Consequences for the recipient. Reduced self-esteem, increased dependency, loss of autonomy, and a skewed sense of indebtedness are common consequences for those manipulated by a White Knight. 5. Addressing and countering White Knight manipulation. A. Awareness and recognition. Recognizing the tactics and understanding the underlying motives is the first step. Awareness can help in setting boundaries and reclaiming autonomy. B. Setting boundaries. Establishing and maintaining clear boundaries can prevent the White Knight from overstepping and asserting control. C. Seeking support. Engaging with a therapist or support network can help individuals rebuild self-esteem and develop strategies to resist manipulation. D. Asserting independence. Taking small, incremental steps towards independence and self-reliance can reduce dependency on the White Knight. By understanding White Knight manipulation techniques, individuals can better identify and counteract these tactics, fostering healthier and more balanced relationships.